Hello ladies and gents, I am Citizen Sleeve and welcome to Replayed Reviews, a little series I do where I take games from yesteryear and re-review them in a nice short format with a little bit of the game's intro footage. Now, if you've got any suggestions for games of yesteryear that you would like me to cover in the series, by all means, chug them in the comments. This time, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Let's begin, shall we? Call of Duty, the mega-budget FPS behemoth that returns for an inevitable sequel every single year. And at this time, the reins were passed back to Treyarch to continue their Black Ops series. Now, I played every COD in the franchise, and Black Ops, maybe a touch of a controversial opinion, but it was one of my favourite, if not my favourite. Now, I know a majority of players hail Modern Warfare and its sequel as the defining COD games, but Black Ops provides something a little different. Yes, the campaign was as convoluted as ever, waves of enemies still spawned like it was duck hunting season, until you took that extra step forward and it felt like you were the passenger along for the ride. However, I enjoyed the globe time trotting, even crazier than usual narrative, more robust zombie mode, the hidden menu mini-games. And so after another Modern Warfare, what does Treyarch's sequel have to offer? A lot, as it happens. It's not your typical COD game in many respects, although it obviously still harbours plenty of influence from its brethren. Gone are the menu secrets and mini-games, which I think is a shame, as it just added something a little extra to the original. The graphics are what you'd expect from the most AAA of all titles, and of course a 360 and PS3 game at the time, but they're certainly not Halo 4 in terms of how good it looks on that particular platform, but of course COD is by its nature multi-platform. The visuals in terms of character animation and environments are still top-notch, with wildly diverse terrain and explosive effects throughout the as ever bombastic campaign. The narrative is again concerned with Alex Mason, played by Sam Worthington, after his ordeal with the numbers. A bit like Lost, but not like Lost. But more importantly, his son David. The past sections of the plot are initially told through an aging wheelchair-bound Frank Woods as he recounts missions with Alex to David and Harper, who is played by Michael Rooker. The future section's protagonist is David, assisted by Harper, but both past and future timelines feature Raul Mendez and the unhinged antagonist and leader of the Cordis Die movement. Drones, defense systems, taking down the world and twists galore are central plot pointers, and I won't go beyond that in this re-review. There is wonderfully diversity throughout the campaign in terms of its locales, from Panama to Los Angeles, and obviously shifting time periods. Rather badly riding a horse through a worn-torn desert, using mechs, driving jeeps, flying jets, jumping out of said jets in wingsuits. Now that's Call of Duty. I enjoyed the main narrative and it ties well with the first Black Ops, but more interestingly, depending on your in-game choices, the ending can be very different. A bold move for Treyarch at the time, and it needed to be done with the series desperately requiring something to freshen up the stale Hollywood shooting gallery. Another change in the campaign is the introduction of more strategy-based missions called Strikeforce, and these have massive bearings on the outcome of campaign missions and the ending. You can essentially switch between any troop, mech, or stationary gun to fend off a wave of attackers for a certain duration. I liken it to Assassin's Creed Revelations' attempt to use tower defense mechanics to vary the gameplay. And while the intention was good, those sections just don't really work. For a start, they take you out of the central narrative and don't feel, in gameplay terms, very satisfying, so their influence on the attained ending is disappointing. Now to the really important part, as with every COD game, multiplayer. Many gamers, including myself, often ignore the campaign for weeks after a COD's release, simply because the core of the series has always been about its multiplayer. I dabbled a little bit with Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops, while my friends were kind of knee-deep in it and said Warfare for quite some time. It wasn't really until Modern Warfare 3 that I played much kind of daily, and I don't look much anymore. But I had maybe 3 or 4 favourite maps on MW3 that particularly suited my run and gun kind of playstyle. I also had several issues with the multiplayer, and in one particular that made me want to Moab myself, and that's spawn killing. It drives me insane. Spawning in the opposition line of sight, on a grenade, on a mine, next to a car that's about to explode. I mean, seriously, people. Honestly, even back then, and it still goes on now with a lot of the more modern Call of Duties. I I know the kind of inherent server and hosting issues cause these problems, but come on now. Apparently, Treyarch received reports when a player is spawned too quickly, so we'll see. So we kind of saw how that tried to help the balance, but it didn't really make any major changes, and you still had all these spawning problems. Some fairly major changes have been made to the makeup of custom classes with a redesigned perk system, and that allows for 10 straight-up perks to be applied anywhere, which is a little bit more interesting and more, diverse in what you can combine. So if you want the extra gun attachments, but less actual perks, you can. If you're a perk obsessive, you can double up with bonus wildcards that allow 2 perks of the same category. This allows for some very specific builds that can focus on one particular element of your class or a more balanced approach. Classes can be devised for a straight-up knife wielder to a focused sniper with perks and attachments that buffer the type of gameplay style you tend to adopt with whatever weapon you go with. It works well, and it gives a greater sense of specific customization over previous entries. Gameplay itself seems just a touch slower than MW3, and as expected, the genre-defining control scheme is unchanged and forever will be unchanged, as we know now. Another glaring difference is the change from kill to score streaks, something which I again think works quite well. Yes, consecutive killing will still net you neat war tech to take down the enemy with, but now destroying equipment, using UAVs and gaining all assists count towards your overall score streak. The maps are nicely diverse and rather more colourful than those in MW3. Carrier and Raid are my immediately standouts, although my friends favour Drone. Hijacked is the up-close and personal map type, where that automatic pistol can be deadly. Express and Plaza, however, are perhaps a bit too cluttered for my particular liking. In all, a good range of environments and map sizes put them up there with some of the best COD has to offer, I think. Nuketown deserves a quick mention simply because it's been given its own separate playlist for those mentalists out there who want to play it for hours at a time. League players are obviously fully integrated into multiplayer, into the suite, much like StarCraft 2's ladder system. You play placement matches and then you're entered into the relevant league. Zombies, the mode that has almost come to define Treyarch's entries a little bit, returns with the usual types of game and very interesting additions in Transit. Transit is a co-op survival mode where you start in one of several buildings and survive waves of zombies while rebuilding barricades and buying weapons. Sound familiar? Well, don't worry, it's not too much. A yellow high school bus with a mech zombie Total Recall type style driver regularly stops and swings around each of the locations. Now, you need to be on that bus with your group, or you'll have to fight the zombies on your own, and that is not so easy for a good duration of time. There's also hidden areas and secrets throughout the map. Weapon parts can be found and assembled at workbenches, while some of those created items will allow you to enter blocked areas of the map. I won't mention what the hidden areas are here, as Transit gives you very little information in order for the player to forage under pressure for clues themselves. Transit is an inventive mode, and obviously later in the series we kind of see it get expanded and changed and added to and improved. But I think the Black Ops 2 version is a really interesting development of that particular game mode, and it works really nicely, I think. Black Ops 2, I think, is one of the best in the series still after however many games have come out since. I still think it's a really nice package of game with a load of awesome content. Multiplayer obviously sticks with a lot of the series tropes, but it does alter some core elements such as the perk system and the store streaks, which I think are for the better. The added Transit zombie mode is a delightfully twisted co-op fest that reinvents the core experience with more satisfaction than the standard modes do. In all, Treyarch has moved the somewhat stagnant franchise on a bit with this particular game, a little bit more invention. It's not the greatest FPS ever made, but it's amongst the best, I think. It's something I want with every Call of Duty, you know? Just a little bit of invention, something different, something unique. And I think Black Ops 2 is one in the series that definitely does some of that stuff. Oh, and the Candyman himself, Tony Todd, voices a general. Can't get better than that. Thank you so much for watching and listening. It is an absolute privilege to be able to make videos for you all. And in 2021, I intend to go at it. No more messing about. I'm going to crack on and do a bunch of stuff for you guys. Now, if there's anything you want me to do as a replayed review, any old game you think you'd like me to deconstruct and do a quick snap of, by all means, chuck those in the comments. And if you've got anything you would like me to try and do on the channel, game podcast, skits and sketches with random comedy voices, or breakdowns, or if you want me to bring back talking title screens, anything like that at all, any suggestions you've got, put them in the comments, because we want to build a community, right? We want to do stuff together and do stuff that you enjoy watching. I don't want to just do stuff for the sake of it. So if you want me to do certain things, chuck it in the comments, I'll have a gander, and I will consider it. Now, if you liked the video, hit that like button. If you didn't like the video, hit that dislike button. And if you really want to support me, sub to the channel. Get involved, talk in the comments, really try and spread the word and get people involved in this lovely thing we call gaming. I'll also be covering TV series and TV episodes, films, all types of different media here and there, and we also have the Last Edit Film podcast over on my other channel. So go and check that out. That's with Silver and myself, and that's where we basically take an obscure, often film and just deep dive it and do a nice, lovely, long, in-depth podcast about that particular film. Now, don't forget, you can also follow me on Twitch, Citizen Sleeve over there. Citizen Sleeve over on Twitter, Facebook, and the Instagram, as it were. But I'm probably most active on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching again. It's all kinds of appreciated, especially in this brand new year where a lot of us are just beginning again. Take it easy. I will see you very soon.